What's up guys, and welcome to the very first episode of Club and Country. Yes, the wait for a brand new FIFA series on my channel is over, and I'm super excited to be bringing out another installment of Club and Country. Now, if you're a new viewer to the channel and you've never seen a Club and Country before, then basically you are in for a treat. The rules are very simple, but they're always so fun to follow. So Club and Country, I mean the clue's in the title basically. Club and Country, this is a series where we can only buy and use players that are eligible to play for the same country as the club. So of course in this case we're going to be using Dynamo Dresden of the German third tier, and that means we can only buy and use German players or players that are eligible to represent Germany in the game in this series. It's a very simple concept, but I've been doing it for many years. I did my first one on Football Manager last year with Italy and Brescia. I've done some crackers over the years with St Johnstone and Scotland, and obviously my original almost 7 years ago, 6.5 years ago with Racing Santander in Spain. There's been so many great series over the years, and I thought, well, with our Cork series just ending, the Cork to Glory series just ending, it's time for a new FIFA series, and I thought a new Club and Country would be a really good shout. So yeah, if you are new viewers to the channel, I do recommend clicking the subscribe button. I upload FIFA videos on the daily after a mini hiatus, and yeah, I'm a really chilled, laid back guy. These are the sort of videos where you can watch them in listen to them in the background if you want, maybe at the same time as you playing through your own career mode save. And yeah, I've been doing YouTube for almost 10 years now. That's just incredible to think about, really. Almost a decade worth of making videos. And yeah, if you'd like to subscribe, I'd really appreciate that. And I will be trying to keep this series uploaded daily. So as I run you through the Dynamo Dresden squad, then in the first season you might have noticed with our objectives, we are a 2-star team in the third tier of Germany, and the board have laid it down to us right from the very get-go. We're a championship caliber team. Yeah, they want us to win the championship in the very first season in the third tier. And to be honest, that was my objective as well. This is a pretty decent team, all things considered, for a third tier side. And also, as I run you through the squad hub here as well, what you'll be noticing is that there is a lot of young talent at this side as well. Now, there are 4 foreign players here. Of course, they will not be eligible to be used. So we'll be trying to sell them, swap them, or release them in the very first transfer window to make our side a fully German national side. But yeah, there are a lot of really good players in this team, some very good youngsters as well. I'm quite excited about the likes of Ransford Yeboah, Diawuse as well, a couple of really decent players in this team that are very young and should have some decent potential as well. And as you see our transfer list here, these are the 4 foreign players: Hosner, Vlachodimos, Morshel and Store as well. In the first season we need to sell these guys as soon as possible. We can't sell them, we'll try and swap them. I think 3 of those players just came in, so we won't be able to sell them. We'll need to swap them, and if we can't sell or swap, then we'll have to release them in the first transfer window, as we're not able to use them, and they are unfortunately just taking up space and salary, which is a little bit pointless. So yeah, to start off with Dresden as well, we've got like a £4 million budget in the third tier of Germany, so a really decent budget. But instead of buying like the best young German talents in the game and buying all the good young German wonder kids, I was like, nah, this is not what Club and Country, well, it is kind of what Club and Country is all about, but ultimately Club and Countries are best when we get through really good youth players through the system. Now again, if you're a new viewer to my channel, then you'll find this out very quickly in my saves. The players that we have the most affiliation to are not the standard wonder kids that are in the game already, the real life wonder kids, but they're the wonder kids we create ourselves through the youth academy. So straight away, I spent practically every single penny on picking up a 5-star youth scout. 5-star experience, 5-star judgment, the best in the game, and hopefully we'll pick up some really good young German talents right from the get-go. So yeah, of course I could have bought like 2 or 3 like amazing young German wonder kids, but no, I want to find my own through the youth academy. So yeah, very grateful to get a big budget, but it went straight away on bringing in a top-class youth scout. Now, as for selling players with this Dresden team as well, of course, we will be trying to sell the foreign nationals. I did decide to accept a couple of bids for our senior players, though. Marco Hartmann went for £775,000, I believe, to Japan. And I think we also sold Lowe as well, though I might be wrong about that. You'll see in just a moment's time regardless. But obviously, there is a slight lack of depth here with Dynamo Dresden. Yeah, Chris Lowe went to Cruz Azul as well. There is a slight lack of depth here with Dynamo Dresden. One of the benefits of playing in the German leagues is that there's I think there's only one cup, And there's also, I think there's 20 teams in the third Liga. But when you get to the top tier, of course, in the Bundesliga, there's only 18. So the seasons are shorter. And of course, because we're not playing European football as well, there's very little chance of there being midweek games. And even if there are, there's going to be like 2 or 3 a season max. So squad depth is not really going to be too important in the first season. This is not like when you're playing in League 2 or League 1 in England, when you've got a 46 game season, you've got the Johnson's Paint Trophy or whatever it's called nowadays, the Papa John's Trophy or whatever, the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup as well. Now this is a much shorter season in terms of games, just the way it should be. And yeah, that means that we won't need a massive amount of squad depth. So ultimately, if we get bids for our senior players, I'm fine to let them go, because in a C&C, the senior players have very little influence on the team and very little importance to the team as well. There's little incentive to keep the senior players, because C&Cs are all about developing young wonder kids that can play for the same country as the club. So players like Chris Lowe and Hartman, they're actually 2 quite highly rated players in this team, or I should say they were 2 highly rated players in this team. But because we're focusing on youth, I'm much happier to have a player that might not have the starting overall that those 2 players have now if they're like 10 years younger and have far more potential. It's all about building for the future in the very first few seasons. So I was fine letting them go, and after the sales there of those 2 players and Store as well, we managed to get our budget back up to 4 million. So that's fantastic. Already we've brought back the money, we've raised back the money we lost in order to bring in our youth scout. Now, in terms of the system that Dresden is set up with, they play a 3-4-1-2, which is kind of interesting because I'm normally not the sort of guy to play a 3 at the back system. I will be honest here. I'm very, very old school when it comes down to FIFA. I kind of always have been. I always like my 4 at the back systems, possibly 5 at the back. Though 3 at the back at times I always feel like I'm kind of exposed with a lack of fullback/wing back. So the wide midfielders need a lot of stamina in this team. I'm not against changing formation and changing tactics at some point. But again, if you've been watching me for a while, I kind of like to keep the identity that the club has when we start the save off. So with Dresden playing a 3 at the back system, it's not something I'm too comfortable using, but it's something I feel like I should keep using to get better at using the tactic and the formation layout, but also not shift away from the identity that Dresden have to start the save off. So I will try and persist with the 3 at the back, but do bear with me in the first season, because I think I probably will leak quite a lot of goals, as I'm not too familiar with a 3 at the back system. But still, for the first game of the season, hadn't made any signings coming in to this point here. Just decided to run with the players we had. First season's going to be all about experimentation, really, finding out what lineups work for us best and what set of players I have the most confidence in. We were taking on Bayern Munich's reserve team, and obviously it's kind of interesting because, when people recommend me a club and country team, this is one that a lot of people did recommend for me, Bayern Munich's reserve team. I chose Dresden mainly because I wanted something a little bit more unique. I feel like a lot of people use Bayern's reserve team to try and topple the actual original Bayern Munich at some point as the years go by. I thought about Hansa Rostock, but then again, they're also kind of overused in FIFA for those that do an RTG in Germany, and also as well, of course, 1860 Munich as well, which a lot of people were recommending for me. But again, those are kind of like overused teams in the third division. That's why I decided to go with Dresden, a little bit more unique. They've got an amazing fan base, by the way, Dynamo Dresden. Really, really passionate set of supporters. And of course, we are one of the stronger teams in the division. In real life, I believe at the point I'm recording this commentary, they are currently top of the table as well. So heading to the first game of the season, even though we were away from home, I was targeting the 3 points right from the very get-go. We took the lead, and then 82 minutes into the game. Well, I mentioned him very briefly earlier. For young stars to watch out for in this team, there are a few that have got some decent potential, but this is the guy that excites me the most, Ransford Yeboah. He starts off as a right midfielder, but he's got striker as his secondary listed position. I think I'm going to change him to play as a striker. I pushed him up further up the pitch in the second half, made a tactical alteration, and he looks way more like a striker than a right midfielder to me. So Ransford Yeboah, remember that name. I think he could be like a Charlie Kelman for those who watch my QPR save in this team. So we're leading by 2, courtesy of Ransford bagging our second, and Dyer Wusi, who I mentioned earlier as well, stormed down the right side. We look for a third goal to wrap up the points. Maya denied though from close range. 2-0 victory, and that was how the game would finish as well. So after a winning start, and again this season the board have said right from the get-go we've got to win the title. That is what I'm aiming for as well. So very little margin for error this season, having to go up with the championship in the very first season. That could be quite tough, especially playing a system I'm not comfortable with, using players that I've never used before as well. They're also really lowly rated too, but That is what I'll be aiming for in the very first season. It could be tough. It could be tough, but I definitely think we've got more than enough quality to be champions come the end of season one. But that would end the first episode of Club and Country, guys. Big thank you. Fortunate if you have enjoyed it. If you have, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day. Super excited to return to CNC. If you guys are as well, then please drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of Club and Country very soon.